Well, welcome to episode 236 of the 3 Point Podcast. We're partnered up with Memorial Healthcare, home of the walk-in sports injury clinic, now open every Monday through the middle of October at the Now Community Wellness Center. I do physical therapy there. In fact, we're recording this on Sunday night. I'll be there tomorrow, stretching out the shoulders and getting all loosened up. And, we're still looking forward to maybe doing a special podcast in their new podcast studios, which is just gorgeous. We're also partnered with Skymint Cannabis, Michigan's leader in the industry, many locations throughout the state of Michigan. Use that coupon code at Corunna Store only right now. It's 3.20 at the Corunna Store, 20% off Skymint products only and new customers only. And as a matter of fact, a friend of mine used the code, and actually there was a rumor, might have tried it out at the Chi-Town show on Saturday night. I'll talk a little bit more about that. But they're promoting right now the Skymint Reserve, and as they call it, it's the good stuff. And like I said, may or may not have dipped in before Chi-Town, so we'll talk more about that. Yes. Also, I want to thank our local partners, AZEE Printing Solutions, Capital Sports Fieldhouse and Hit and Pitch, Pro Real Estate and Auction, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, and Success Group Mortgage and Servicing. Tonight we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to check in with our prep spotlight portion with Durand Railroader coach John Webb. He has them undefeated 6-0 and a big game coming up with Chesaning and a bigger game lined up the following week against New Locust. We'll check in with him, see what's going on in Railroader football. But I kind of set it up a little bit. Frankenmuth had its annual Country Fest. It's basically a big barn dance. And my first thought when I walked in there was, man, this is a COVID hotbed. It was wall-to-wall people, but it's an awesome setting. Jared kind of set the stage a little bit about how great the weather is. It's just outstanding, and it was a perfect night for country music. The warm-up group started at 5:30, and I wouldn't even call them a warm-up group. It was called Whiskey Fix. Fantastic. They had a young lady as the lead singer. They were very, very good. They had a whole set of classic rock tunes. They would play parts of it, and do a montage. It was outstanding. And then Chi-Town came up and locked everybody down as the headliner. So it was a good night.
It really does sound like a magical night, man. Like you said, Frankenmuth, perfect fall day, country music. I mean, I'm jealous. I was in the midst of moving, or else I would have been there. But man, you just must have been in heaven at that thing. Did you indulge in any like apple cider alcoholic drinks or anything like that?
Well, I was the driver, so I had to be a little bit careful. But I had a couple beers, and like I said, it was like a big barn dance. But it was funny, you mentioned how cool it is to go to something like this, and I had an epiphany just sitting there, and it happens to me once in a while at my extended age, and I'm sitting back in my chair, and I leaned over to my wife, and I said, you know what? You know how old I am. I flat out said it before. I'm 66 years old, so we're in that stage of life where I said to her, I said, you know what, honey? We can't just sit home and watch TV. I'll watch my fair share of TV, but I'll schedule it. But we got to go out and do these kinds of things because they're fun, and I told her, I said, we should, when we get home sometime, when we have a little bit of time, let's write down all the cool things we've done this last year. And remember that while we're still able to walk around and enjoy it, and you only live once, that's the saying. It's so true. And it's just fun to go out. The people watching alone, you can imagine, Jared, you've done the faster horses thing. Seeing the young crowd with the jorts and then seeing these old grannies, and they're out there line dancing. It's just fun.
That's one of the things that my wife and I probably talked about it on the podcast, that we truly enjoyed when we would go. We've seen Bob Seger now a few times, and it's exactly what you said. You got the people who are your age, Ted, and then all the way down to my age or even younger, Jared's age, going to see that. So the people watching, but no, an epiphany like that, it's really cool to hear because I feel like my parents are, in the same age group as you, and retired and bought a trailer, and they're driving that thing all over the place. They're up in the UP. They've been up there for the last week or whatever. And, I think they've probably had the same sort of epiphany at some point. Like, yes, those, you enjoy your home life. You live on the lake. They live up in Ludington. So, you enjoy your time at your house, but, I don't know. It's reality. You don't have that many years. We don't. None of us know. None of us know how many years we have left. So you want to enjoy that time while you can. It's a shame sometimes that epiphany comes when you're 66, 70 years old. Jared, listen to this. Have this epiphany right now.
Yes.
Have this epiphany right now, Jared.
You're out doing something every weekend. I don't know what more are you going to cram into your days. I guess we'll see. I don't know, like maybe the one weekend of the month you're not in DC or Royal Oak or at a Chi-Town show. I guess you'll have to fill that in your schedule. But yeah, no, I like that. It's sad to see. It's sort of bittersweet to hear you say that. I mean, you're getting up there in age, I guess, but you still got a lot left to.
That's why he goes to Memorial. That's why he goes to Memorial Healthcare.
Before you're going to be having trouble walking, maybe even more. So,
well, and you're right, Jared. I mean, I still feel good. I act reasonably young, but I also know the writing's on the wall. I'm not going to get all doomy and gloomy about it. But every day you just got to live for every day. And there's a lot to be said about that. And there is no joke here. You probably have talked to your parents, both Matt and Jared. When you get to a certain age, it's usually around 45. All of a sudden, time just flies. Time just flies by. I mean, I can't tell you how quick the last 20 years went by. It's amazing.
Wow. I mean, I already feel it, I with the kids. I mean, my son's almost my son's almost 1 year old, one year old. And, it's crazy to think about that. So no, you got it. When you've got all these things that you can do, you love music and going out and doing this stuff. My parents like to travel and go see things. So that's part of it too, and like you've mentioned, you have a wife who likes to tag right along and likes to do all this stuff with you. So go catch a Tigers game and, go see all these concerts and shows and festivals and stuff. So,
museum.
Yeah. I could have done without that.
Well, the good news is your Sundays are basically opening up. So I guess you have another extra day in the week to start doing some stuff. So that's good.
We can get into that later.
Absolutely. All right. I did want to say one other thing. This weekend, I was sorry I had to miss it because you can only do so many things. But the Curran Jacobs premiere of his wrestling film, Bart from the radio station checked it out.
Oh, cool.
He said it was awesome. It was a big crowd.
Nice.
The film was really good. You get a chance still to see it on Amazon Prime coming up this week. Definitely check it out. Catch as catch can. The documentary by Owosso's own Curran Jacobs. Sounds like it was very well received.
Awesome event, man. I mean, I'm surprised you didn't. Like I said, you go to every flipping thing. It's definitely, you must have, you were working on Friday, so you couldn't make it. But
no, it was Saturday. It was the same night as Chi-Town. I already had that on the calendar. That's the only thing
that would have kept you from is a Chi-Town show.
That's right.
And like we mentioned, that is the perfect little Owosso Saturday night. Go catch a movie, then walk over to Roma's and have a little food and drinks. That is cool. It's cool to hear it went well for him.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to have our prep spotlight, John Webb, coming up next right here on 3 Point Podcast. Well, it's now time for the prep spotlight presented by Capital Sports Fieldhouse in Owosso. And this week, it's our pleasure to welcome to 3 Point Podcast. Durand head coach John Webb has his Railroaders rolling. Number 7 in the latest AP poll in Division 6, probably will move up after their win over Gladstone on Friday night. First of all, John, congratulations. It's been quite a turnaround over there in the Railroad City. And, man, 6-0 and looking to the end of the season, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, where's the playoffs things going to go? But, of course, you're going to say, 1 week at a time. Chesaning next on the schedule. But let's start with the success of the Railroaders so far. I know your predecessor, Winbigler, did a good job kind of setting the stage for the Railroader program to get out of the funk they were in for a lot of years. And then you took over. You were Durand High School graduate back in the early 2000s. And now you got them believing in things. You're running old-fashioned type of football, smash mouth football, and it's very successful. So tell us a little bit about the Railroaders.
Yeah, well, we run the Power T, and Coach Winbigler ran the Power T one of the 3 years he was at Durand, but when he left, I thought that was the best. When I was the defensive coordinator, when he was the head coach, and when he left, I thought that was the best offense we had ran in the 3 years he was here. We actually ran 3 different offenses in 3 different seasons he was here. But, the Power T, I have Coach Tim Krupp is my offensive coordinator, and he's very comfortable and very knowledgeable with the Power T. This summer we had Edwardsburg come up to Swartz Creek and run a team camp with us. Edwardsburg's been very successful, D4 school, 1,000 kids, and they've averaged like 48 points a game over the last 15 years. And, that really kind of, catapulted us into this season. And, we're averaging about, I think it's 44.5 points a game right now. We've rushed for 2,000 yards in 6 games. Gabe Lynn is, kind of our star running back. That's he's already at 1,000 yards, 20 touchdowns through 6 games. He's a special player, special talent. But I have, we are not a one-man show. We have, 4 or 5 running backs that are all capable of getting the job done. Our quarterback's a senior. Obviously we have, we had 18 returning starters that are seniors. So we're a senior heavy team, and these guys have been together since they were, in playing Pee Wee football together. And, it's a tight group, and it's a special group for us here at Durand for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear the turnaround. And I just want to mention, so I'm from your era. I graduated in early 2000s, and I played wide receiver at Corona. So you're saying I wouldn't want to play in your offense is what you're saying, right?
Well, we say our wide receivers, if we line up our tight ends 1 foot, and then we line them up at 2 foot, and that's what we call them, wide receivers.
Nice. That's funny. No, that's it reminds you of Georgia Tech. And I mean, like, they've had a bunch of great receivers come out of it. Maybe not a bunch. They've had a few great receivers come out of there. So that's
this group was certainly capable. We could be in the spread. We could, like we say, like we could look like Saturday football if we wanted to with this group and be really successful. But for us, it's about building the program.
Sure.
It's something that when you're, maybe your talent level goes up and down in high school football, if you can get a program going, that kids learn at the 7th grade level. We're running it all the way down to the 7th grade level now. And, those kids, will be like my idea is to have like a well-oiled machine with it where they know, they know what to do. And, it's hard to prepare for, we're different in the area. We're the only team in our conference that runs it. So, I think it's can be an advantage for us.
Clearly it's working. And yeah, sometimes you build your offense around the talent that you have, and clearly it's working. But so as I mentioned, I'm from your era, and I mean, you definitely remember, you're a Durand alum. There were some rough years there for Durand, a couple 0-9 seasons and 1-8 seasons. And then maybe more in Jared's era in the 2010s, another little bit of a rough stretch, some more 0-9 seasons and 1-8 seasons. And I'm not saying that to throw shade at Durand as a Corona Cavalier alum. I'm saying that to compliment you and the staff before you in turning around Durand, because you guys are in the midst of 3 straight playoff seasons. And obviously this year, I mean, you're built to make a run possibly to Ford Field. So my question is, what does it take to turn around a program like Durand that, has struggled for a while? Is it just simply you got some talent? Or have you had to get the players in the community to buy in? Is it building that system, like you said, all the way down to 7th grade? Kind of what can you attribute to turning around your program?
I mean, obviously, everything you said there, I think it's all encompassing. I think, obviously talent, high school football, high schools go through, you don't get to recruit kids in high school football. You get who comes through your school district type thing. So obviously that plays a role, but the belief, it takes the whole community, and in a town like ours, a small community, this whole community is bought in to, we have so much support right now. And we've been starving for a consistent winter. And now that we've done that for a few years, the support from the school, from the community, from businesses, across the board, parents, once you get people bought in, and it's everybody, because it takes a whole community like that in a small town to really, get over that hump. And once you've done that, it's very hard to get over that hump. When you're down and when you're trying to fight up that hill, it seems like, it's a slippery slope and you can't climb it. But, once you get there, it's like, now you know what it feels like. And the community is, supportive of us and the school administration and everybody. We just have like I said, it's everybody in our community, and obviously the boys have bought into hitting the weight room. That's been a staple of our program turnaround is our commitment to our Summer Pride program, where we're in the weight room, and that's been a huge. The biggest turnaround has been our summer program, our Summer Pride program, but they don't lift during the summer. It's a 12-month thing, becoming a better athlete, becoming, a bigger, stronger athlete, faster. We had Amari Coleman came over this summer. Again, the support from the community allowed us to hire Amari to come over and run a speed and agility, program all summer long with us. He came over 2 days a week, former New Lothrop alum or whatever. And he did a great job. The boys really bought in. We had 30 kids up there working speed every Monday and Wednesday with him. And then, our weight program, we were 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. So, the kids have just bought in, the parents, the community, and, we just got, now it's our job to keep it rolling,
Yep.
The big game on you guys' schedule that kind of, opened my eyes at least, was week 2 against Montrose. It was a bit of a shootout, 56-52. Yeah. Can you kind of walk me through that game? You guys are, Power T. I've never seen a Power Team game like that where it's, both teams in the 50s. What was that game like?
Yeah. The first series of the game, Darren Allward, one of our terrific fullback defensive end, broke his wrist. And so, offensively, we can still roll because we have a good stable of backs, but defensively it kind of threw us into a little bit of shock, and that kind of played a part in a little defensive chaos a little bit, which it is what it is. But it was unbelievable. If you look at the game, they killed us in time of possession. We kept scoring like in 2 or 3 plays, and then we'd get close. They'd be on third down. They'd, get a first down, and just, they were more driving, marching, making plays on us. And they're a good team. They have good athletes. They have good athletes to make plays offensively, but we just got in that thing where we kept scoring in like less than a minute, and then they would get the ball back, and then they'd have it, and they go down and score, and we'd score again real quick, and I'd be like, man, that'd be nice if we just put a drive together, maybe not score in 30 seconds. So it was a wild one, but we came out on top. We still haven't trailed all season. We've had the lead in every game and haven't trailed once all season. So it's we've had some tight ones. We played some good teams. We played good competition, but we still haven't trailed, and but that game, it was like I'm telling the guys, like, every time they scored, we can't blink. We got to go back and score again or whatever, and that we just got into that game, and that's just kind of how it went.
John, go ahead.
I'm a bit jealous of you. Being 6-0. I'm back to my high school days. We had winning teams or whatever, but 6-0 mid-season. There's no better place to be as a head coach or as a player or whatever. You mentioned the community a little bit earlier. What is it like, just kind of walking the halls as a 6-0 team that's AP top 10 ranked? What's that just kind of like in general?
Yeah, we have some alumni and stuff that I don't think have been around in years, and we had a bunch of alumni up and we played Gladstone up in Gaylord last week, and it was a big game, and we had a bunch of guys from our 1977 to 83 era, when Coach Fuller was coaching back in our the best days of Durand football. They were up there, and they came down after the game, and it's just some things that haven't happened in a long time. It's just really nice to kind of feel that support from everyone, and everyone's kind of paying attention. I've had a lot of, my old high school coach, Bill Altimore, he's texted me a few times and said, how great it is, to see us doing well and stuff. So it just a lot of it makes you feel good. The boys, the boys are riding high. I tell them they're living the times of their life right now. They don't know it yet, but this is going to be the part of their life that they're going to remember and talk about for, forever. So
now, man, As you're saying that, look at the smile that came across all four of our faces. I mean, Jared mentioned it. He had success. I had a little bit of success when I played. Ted did too. Like it's memories that they're never gonna forget.
Yeah.
And honestly, you got to try and like, it's got to be hard to like put that into perspective to 16, 17, 18-year-old kids. Like,
yeah, it is.
Like, soak this in right now. Soak this in.
That's what I mean. And that's been my message to them, is like, enjoy it, but you'll never regret working too hard.
No,
give everything you have. And
what you'll regret is if you don't work hard enough.
Exactly.
Well, I'd have a bigger smile on my face if we would have had any success against the Railroaders back in my day. They had our number, but out of respect, I wore the D hat for you here, John.
I
really like what you guys. I really like what you guys have done. When you finished last season, with your playoff loss, you knew you had 18 starters coming back, 9 on offense, 9 on defense. You knew this was going to be a good year. And you kind of touched upon it when, you had Amari Coleman in to work with the team for speed. Was part of your message to the team, in the summer workouts and everything else? Hey guys, we're going to be special. Stay away from the distractions, the girlfriends, the other distractions that can be out there. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Our message is always to, protect yourself, protect the team, do everything you can in your power to be the best version of yourself every single day. And, these guys, I'm so proud of, this senior group. I actually, when they were 7th graders is when I started coaching again. I'd coached before, but I had kind of stepped away. I had young kids and stuff. And, I started coaching this group when they were in 7th grade, this senior class. So I coached them when they were in 7th grade. I actually went up to the varsity when they were in 8th grade, but then I got them back. I told them, they're like, oh, we want you to stay coaching us. And I said, well, I'm going to get to coach you the next 4 years, guys. Trust me, it'll be better. So, I've been a part of these kids' lives for a long time, football and wrestling, because I run our wrestling program as well over here. They're a special group to me. I've watched them grow up, and they're just a special group of kids. They do everything the right way. They're good kids on and off the field. Just enjoy it. We're gonna enjoy this season because they mean a lot to me, and they're not only them, their parents, their families. We're a big family over here, so it's pretty exciting.
It's something that makes smaller communities. It can happen at bigger communities too, but the smaller communities, it's something that makes it special because everyone. I mean, like you said, you've known these since these kids were in middle school. So, sometimes you know them since they were playing peewee football, kicks football, or whatever when they're 4th, 5th grade. So it's cool. I was going to ask you about, I know you've got a big one. You've got to take care of business this week. In 2 weeks, you've got a big one looming with a powerhouse in our area, or I guess your guys' area. I'm in North Carolina now, but in mid-Michigan, New Lothrop. You got New Lothrop coming in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Are you even preparing for that, or are you like, nope, we've got a game this week, that's all we're thinking about?
Yep.
Yep, exactly.
I got what you're saying. I get it.
Good answer.
Chesaning is 3-3. Chesaning's playing a lot better football this year.
Yep.
They got a new coach, and they're playing much improved football from last season. We beat them 42-0 last year, but I see a different Chesaning team on the field, on the tape this year. They're playing hard, and they've been, they were only 2 points from, I think it was 16-14. Montrose New Lothrop was beating them at halftime. When they played, and one of their scores was actually a pick 6. So they're playing much better football. So to look ahead, would be foolish for us. But obviously, it's been a date that we've had circled, for 12 months. Us and Lothrop played a very good football game against them last year. It was I think they were beating us 21-20 at halftime. We actually got out to a 14-0 lead on last year, and we weren't able to sustain it for 4 quarters. And, you know, that's been part of our message this year is, you know, we're going to continue to, you know, pound people into the ground and not, you know, like our offensive line has been, you know, we're pretty much trying to play those guys one way, and later in games, it's really paid off for us. We're, you know, I think we figured we average about 285 pounds across the offensive line, 5 seniors. They're all strong kids, big kids, and, you know, they just wear on guys. They only play on the D line very sporadically, which for a school our size is a really nice advantage to have. And it's kind of been a plan for us, you know, going, you know, all these years we've been trying to say that, you know, we got enough of you seniors that when you're seniors, let's try to go one way as much as we can with everyone. And, you know, I do think it's paid off later in games, and these big games that we've had already this year. It's allowed us to, you know, kind of grind teams down.
Yeah. One last question from me, Coach. We talk all the time on this pod about the old MMB, you know, conference, and I don't want to get you in trouble with your athletic director or anything like that. We always say, you know, how much we missed it and how much we wish that was still a thing. You know, teams like Chesaning, Corunna, you know, Durand. Do you ever think about how much fun it would be to play in a conference with all those schools? You know, our local Shiawassee County schools.
Yeah, I do. I don't want to play Mount Pleasant and Greenville and Ionia and you know, back when I was in school, I said, who made our schedule? We played St. John's when I was a junior and senior. You know, the 2 crossover games, that was the only flaw to that league, I think.
Right.
You know, I think it would have to be morphed a little, because I look back and I'm like, why were we we had scheduled games against teams that were 4 times our size in football. You know? And now teams wouldn't even, you know, unless they're trying to, you know, get playoff points for playing a bad Division I school or something like that. But like teams don't schedule league games that have that size disparity. And so, but like when we were in school, that's the only bad thing. But, you know, I would love to get the old Corunna rivalry fired back up, you know, at some point. You know, that's me true. You know, anybody back from our area and beyond, you know, that's something that would be kind of cool to get back going. And if I have my choice, that we'll be doing it here in the next few years.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking before you came on how much we would have loved to have seen that game this year. I mean, Corunna lost, Durand's unbeaten. It would have been a lot of fun to see.
Absolutely. Yeah, we did 7-on-7 with Corunna this summer. Last year we actually did a camp with them. Fair State came down and did a camp. So yeah, Steve Herrick's, you know, we get along really well, and he's doing a great job over there at Corunna. And, you know, we talk, we text occasionally after games, you know, as the year goes on. So, cool. You know, maybe the rivalry's a little more friendly than it was back when we played. I don't know.
Yeah,
well, let's hope you're not playing each other. So
yeah, right.
Well, I know there's an opening in your conference, so maybe I'll put a call in to the athletic directors to see what we can do. You know, we're big proponents. We can say whatever we want on this podcast, but we've talked about it, man. We think Corunna fits in your league just perfectly, but other people make that decisions. One final question for you, John. You know, what do you got to do maybe to make a deep playoff run? You know, you talked about your offensive line, and, you know, let's throw a few props out. You obviously must run right quite a bit, because you got the big right tackle and Dylan McDonald, 6'6", 350, and then 260-pound Tyler Caesar right next to him at guard. I mean, is that going to be the key, you know, the line play and see how deep you go?
Yeah, I mean, obviously controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball really, you know, is where we win or lose ball games flat out. You know, like, you know, we have to control the line. If we get dominated up front, you know, in our offense, it looks really bad. That's when people are screaming from the stands, throw the ball, you know. But, you know, yeah, and obviously health. Like early in this year, we actually have had more injuries than we've had in a lot of years, like since we've been doing it. And it's like, man, not this year, you know. So, you know, you know, Evan Sampson, our second team All-State defensive end, went to the hospital game 1 thought he broke his foot. So he hasn't been healthy, but he's getting healthy. He looked in this Gladstone game, he was the healthiest he's been since week 1. Allward played in against Gladstone as well in a club. But, you know, we had a few other dinged up guys or whatever, but we're really starting to get healthy right now at the right time. So being healthy, and being fresh and physical, and I think we have a pretty good shot to make a deep playoff run. Our motto's been, it's been since 1983 since we've hung a football banner of any kind in our gym, and that's been our mantra all year, that let's hang a banner, a league championship, a district championship, a regional championship, let's hang a banner, and all those goals are still in front of us.
Well, I'll tell you what, John, all three of us are former Cavaliers, and like I said, I didn't have any success against Durand in either football or basketball, but you were big rivals. It was always class acts when we played each other. Got to know the people afterwards, and I can say for all three of us that we're pulling for the Railroaders. Finish it up strong. It's great to see you guys having the success you're having, and a whole lot of that is due to your work and your staff and what you put into it. So again, thanks for taking the time out to joining us here on this little podcast, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
All right.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. Good stuff, man.
Nice.
We got a live studio audience tonight. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, good prep spotlight tonight. It's good to touch bases with John Webb. We talked about it, quite a bit this season and made the connections, and sounds like he's got the Railroaders rolling. That's cool to see.
It is. No, and, I kind of threw it out there. Like I said, I wasn't trying to, take a knock at Durand, but for the most part, all of what the three of us remember of Durand is just not a good program. I mean, I'm just being honest.
It wasn't. It was down.
When we saw Durand on the schedule, it was like, all right, my senior year, I only played the first half. So, I mean, like that's what I remember about Durand. So I'm saying that to say, like I said in the interview, it's props to him and his staff for turning around a program like Durand. It's awesome.
It is. It's inspiring to a school like Owosso, which I'll be honest, I think Owosso is probably a lot worse now than Durand ever was, which is crazy to say. Because like I said, Matt, like that was kind of, when you grew up, it was always like, Durand was kind of always struggling. And that was kind of the team you circled on your schedule. Like you said, hey, let's try to blow these guys out or whatever. But no, what a great story. I loved talking to him, man. That's high school football at its finest there.
Well, it's funny you bring up Owosso, and I'm pretty close to the program when I do broadcasting of games, and Owosso there for Devin Pringle ran that T formation for his tenure there, and it didn't take long for the fans to get very disoriented with that, and very, very vocal, and the way you shut up the fans in the stands with success. And here we got Coach Webb running virtually the same kind of offense, just stuffing it up your face, but they're just doing it better than anybody else.
Well, we know he talked about it. You did too. You got to have the offensive line to run that. I mean, you got to have some good running backs too. But if you don't have a good offensive line, you can't run that offense. And a 350-pound right tackle, that's a Big Ten. That's a Big Ten right tackle.
It is.
You know what I love about the Power T is it leaves it up to the players. A lot of times, man, I mean, you guys see it all the time. You probably see it all the time on Friday nights. Like coach, it's almost like the coach thinks he's like Chip Kelly or something in some of these high school games. And he's like all these different schemes, formations, jet sweep motion, NFL route trees. It's like just line them up and have them. If you have better players, just have them pound it down their throat. And that's what they seem to be doing. I mean, instead of 2,000 rush yards, one guy already has 20 touchdowns and 1,000 yards on the season. I love to see it. I'm pulling for them big time the rest of the way.
Yeah. Amen. Well, big win for them last week as they downed previously number 9 Gladstone 28-24. We talk every week about our Corunna Cavaliers. They bounced back. They had Clio on the schedule at the right time, 43-0. Wyatt Bauer 10 of 11 passing, 4 touchdowns. So it looks like they righted the ship a little bit, but they'll have a test this week against Brandon over at Corunna. I think it's the Cavaliers homecoming. The game of the week, really, though, actually there was 2 of them. Morris was upset 52-12 to Merrill. Wow. Yeah, at the Vandals field. That was their first loss after 21 regular season victories. So a wake-up call for the Orioles there. And Merrill maybe looks like they're for real. And then Perry, they won. They defeated Leslie 37-34. This doesn't happen in high school football very often, but Reese Teals hit a 34-yard field goal in the waning seconds for the win. How cool is that?
That is cool. I will say we actually had, when I was when I was playing, we had a pretty good kicker. I'll give him a shout out. Dave Graham Bill Graham's son.
I remember him.
Yep. He was getting a few looks, from some smaller schools to be a kicker. So that was, like you said, it doesn't happen often where you have like a pretty good kicker.
Right.
Our junior year, he hit a kick at the buzzer versus Mount Pleasant to win the game. It was probably at least 30, 35-yard field goal to win the game. Yeah. So, I'm always going to remember that. But no, that's great. Morris, I mean, they'll still make the playoffs and everything, but maybe a little wake up call for them.
Well, you'll like this.
I'll say quick too. I have my nephew is a sophomore at Perry, so he plays JV right now. But I keep in touch with them. It's cool that they're looking like they might have a decent little program going over at Perry.
It's hard to even keep tabs on it. I'm surprised you even had the score, man. I feel like they don't play any team that I've ever heard of. Like, they go they go to Leslie, they go to these other schools. They don't ever come to Shiawassee County anymore like they did when I was, in school.
Yeah, they're really one of those schools like Corunna that would fit in that league perfectly. A decent Class B school with a decent sports program. I mean, that'd be a good fit. And you'll like this, Matt, before we go to our next official commercial break. I guess it's the 8th year in a row that the Jared Pumpkin Patch is going to be operating. And how about that?
Shout out.
Another big maze, corn maze that's very popular. Yep. You take it from there. Give it a quick plug here, man.
No, I'll give it a plug. So the Jared Pumpkin Patch, that's my sister's and my brother-in-law's pumpkin patch in Morris. And they have, my sister married into a family, the Jareds over there, who have a centennial farm. I mean, they've got hundreds of acres over there in Morris. And so they started a pumpkin patch now 8 years ago. They've got a ton of pumpkins, they've got the whole setup, the corn maze and, they've got like cider and donuts and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely head over to Facebook, Instagram, look up Jared Pumpkin Patch and, get all your fall goodies, go over to Jared Pumpkin Patch and have a nice little fall Saturday. Jared, if you're ever back home and you and the girl are looking for something to do on a Saturday, Sunday, head over
cider and donuts.
I guess I was wrong on the mispronunciation, so I apologize, Ted. But no, man, I'm sorry, man. You missed 2 glorious fall days today and yesterday. Literally perfect days. Absolutely. Probably the best weather days we've had all year. Am I right, Ted? What'd you do?
Absolutely, 100%, man. It was spectacular. You can't beat
those beautiful fall days in Michigan where it's just like nice hoodie weather, or a nice little quarter zip that Ted has with the 3 Point Podcast logo. Those are perfect.
All right, well, we'll be back. We're going to have our final segment on football. Thumbs up to Michigan, thumbs down to MSU and the Lions. We'll break it down for you right after this.
Cool.
All right, fellas. Should we start with the good or should we start with the bad?
I think we can talk Lions, man.
I think let's start with the good because the Michigan good will be quick.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
The Michigan good for me. I mean, so I can start it off, I guess, since I said that. They're 5-0. And, they beat Iowa. They went to Iowa and got a win. First time in 17 years that Michigan has won in Iowa. We know that it's never easy to win there. I'm just going to say it real quick. I was pretty, not necessarily frustrated after the game, after watching it. But to me, I feel like, I've been lobbying for J.J. McCarthy. I feel like they made the move to J.J. McCarthy at quarterback to open the offense up. I got the feeling like if you wanted him to be a game manager, why wouldn't you stick with Cade McNamara, who proved he could do that last year when he won the Big Ten and everything like that? If you make the move to J.J. McCarthy, I think you're doing that to open the offense up and, go all Ohio State and whatever, try and run up the score. And obviously, if you watch the game against Iowa, they basically got a lead. They went up 20-0 and said, we got this. Just don't blow this game. Don't let Iowa do anything stupid. Don't throw any interceptions. Just let's cruise and get this game. And as a fan, I definitely was a little frustrated because I felt like they could have put them away. I felt like they could have just put the game away and been out of it. And they kind of let Iowa hang around a little bit. And then I also, as a few hours go on, I had the realization it's who Jim Harbaugh is. He is who he is. He's going to play Bo Schembechler football. He knows he just has to get out of there with a win. We all want to see J.J. McCarthy air it out and just throw it 40 times. That's not who that's not who Jim Harbaugh is. If it comes to the point that he needs to do that, maybe in a shootout with Ohio State, sure, he probably will. But they got the win. They're 5-0. let's just keep.
Yeah,
let's remember
that.
that.
It was a good win. Like I said, I mean, I didn't realize going into that game, what is it, like five? It was 5 straight top 5 matchups that Iowa had won at home,
Tough
which
place
is
to play.
Unbelievable stat. I'm glad we were the ones that put that to bed. Iowa's defense is legit. JJ missed a couple of deep throws that maybe could open it up a little bit more. I just love the Michigan identity. I mean, and that's a weird thing to say, but look at like Michigan State. What is their identity? They're rudderless. What are they? Are they a physical team? Are they a flashy team? Are they defensive? Like, I love that Michigan is just run and defensive centric. It works. As soon as we got away from it, that's when we really saw the train get off the tracks. COVID year, and the couple seasons before that was Shea Patterson. Man, just stick to it. It works. It been in Big Ten at least. It really works. We'll see what happens in the college football playoff. I mean, I almost feel like you can't really base our success off of those games because we're just like a whole different ball game against the teams like Georgia and Bama. But against the Big Ten, man, we can pound it down their throat. I love watching it. I love watching Corum carry the ball 30 times. That's my ideal game for Michigan, to be honest.
Yeah. I agree with Matt said too. They did kind of set on things and be conservative there after they ran up to a 20-0 lead. The one thing I'd like to see them do a little bit more with McCarthy is run the option, a little bit more. The one time I remember he just tossed the pitch way too early instead of taking it into the line. And he's got enough skill as a runner. I mean, that's another reason why you made the switch at quarterback. He not only can throw the ball deep, but he can run, and right. I think if they use him a little bit more on the option, it'll open things up even that much more. I mean, offensively, I'm not too concerned with them. Defensively, we did have some concerns going into the game, but I thought they played well, especially when they closed it out at the end with the 2 sacks and the 2 hurries. I mean, how great a final 4 plays on defense was that for Michigan, man? Yeah. I mean, Mike Morris looks like a stud.
Kind of like Jared said, the defense stepped up when they needed to, got a bunch of sacks, and Blake Corum, man, he runs like he's Derrick Henry, and that dude must be tough to tackle. He had a couple runs where he got hit and carried a guy like 5, 6, 7 yards. And it's just like, man, this guy, I saw some people tweet out like this guy just has never missed leg day. I can't imagine trying to tackle him, but it is impressive. I agree with you, Jared. They have an identity. They're a run football team. And when they need JJ to pass, they're going to, and then they rely on their defense, not to lose the game. They're going to give up some points. They're going to give up some long drives, but right now anyway, they've got an identity and it's working.
One thing that did crack me about the Corum, his leg day and lifting was, it was last week against Maryland. Gus Johnson had this story about, how he would work for his dad in the summer, laying sod, sod 50-pound pieces, would do it for 5 hours. Listen, as somebody who used to do sod as a side gig, 1, they are not 50 pounds. They're like 10 pounds. 2, he would work 5-hour days doing sod. That's nothing. I did freaking 12-hour days doing sod. I just thought that was hilarious that was like some, crowning achievement as sod, and it just was a total BS story.
Calling him out on it. I love it.
Or Corum to Gus. I don't know, but
right.
Regardless, no. What do you guys make of this season? Is it like because I actually got in this argument where it's basically like with my brother actually, because he was basically during the Maryland game and then somewhat Iowa game, basically saying this team they're not a national championship team. Why am I even watching? I turned off the game. They're in a dogfight with Maryland. The way I look at it is just keep winning. In college football, man, just win your games. And I was actually kind of surprised to see the Michigan fan base after the Maryland game not be all up in arms. I feel like they normally are. Yeah. And I'm just glad to see that. I feel like we're kind of level-headed with this season. We're not getting too excited, not getting too low. Just kind of take it week by week and just keep winning.
Yeah.
I mean, part of the thing is we saw Georgia struggled with Kent State, and they almost got beat by Missouri, and Missouri is not good at all. Bama struggled with Texas, and they've struggled a couple other times. Clemson hasn't looked all that great. Ohio State looks like Ohio State right now. But, I mean, the bigger picture is, like you said, just keep winning. Michigan has Indiana this week, and then they've got Penn State. Just keep winning and, just take care of business when you need to, because we see what's going on in East Lansing right now. And Michigan State was preseason, I think, top 10, maybe number 11. And
7,
they've just, maybe number 7. And they've completely fallen apart. I mean, honestly, they're looking – they might struggle to win 4 games because they've got Ohio State this weekend. They've got Wisconsin, who, as we were recording, Wisconsin fired their head coach, Paul Chryst.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Yeah.
I love it, man. Get him out. You know what they need to bring back? Bielema. That's what they should do. They just
After
lost to-
Bielema beat him, that's when
Yeah.
he got the axe.
Bielema, who's running a program at Illinois, so that just it furthers the point of
Wow.
Michigan. Just keep winning, Michigan. And because Michigan State right now, like I said, they're going to struggle to win 4 games, and we know they're going to be tough on October 29th against Michigan. You can't look past that, but
No way.
it's looking rough right now in Sparty land.
If you guys had to take a stand, I mean, Ted, you know this. You tweeted it. I love your Twitter, man. You have some good little tidbits that I like to. That I like
Really?
To see.
Well, thank
Usually
you.
Anti-MSU or something, but
I never get
you have a
complimented by the
tidbit where
young
basically it
man.
was like, Mel Tucker in his career, like 4-year career, has had more like blowout losses than Brady Hoke had in his 50 games at Michigan or something like that. I kind of joked about that Brady Hoke comparison 3 or 4 weeks ago. It seems to be kind of the new like narrative is this Brady Hoke comparison. What do you guys make of Mel Tucker? If you had to get on, and say on your, bet your life on something, is this guy a legit coach or is he going to be fired in the next 2 years? What would you say?
He's not going to be fired.
95 million reasons why not.
And I'm sure that buyout's not small either. So
Right.
Go ahead, Ted.
I was just going to say the jury's out. If I had to bet my life on it, I don't think he'll play out his contract, and I think he might be gone after 5 years. That's just a gut feel.
Yeah, that's a good is he going to make it through is he going to get extended at Michigan State? I would say that's a good measuring stick. What do you think, Matt?
The only thing to me is, I see people comparing Mark D'Antonio didn't have a ton of success his first few years, and I see Michigan State fans saying, well, if we would have punted on Mark D'Antonio after a few years, we would have missed that awesome run that D'Antonio had. So you can't give up on Tucker after these few years. The one thing I'll say is Mark D'Antonio had three or 4 years as a head coach at Cincinnati, and to kind of turn Cincinnati around before he came to Michigan State. So when he came in, you knew, okay, this guy's a pretty solid head coach. Mel Tucker was a head coach for 1 year at Colorado, and they were 5-7. If we're being honest, not as just like Michigan fans, we don't know how this dude is as a head coach. I mean, he had the one good year where all you had to do was hand it to Kenneth Walker and he did everything else. And now, I mean, I don't know how you can't question if he's going to be a good head coach. I know Sparty fans are still excited about him because of what he did last year, and he's got some good recruits coming in. But I don't know how you can't question if this guy can legitimately turn things around and continue the success. Because as much as they want to hate on Jim Harbaugh, there was no question about if Jim Harbaugh was a good football coach when he came to Michigan. Even if they were struggling, even if they couldn't beat Ohio State, all that kind of stuff. Man, the dude had success everywhere. He coached in the Super Bowl, and he turned Stanford around. So it was like there was no question if Jim Harbaugh was a good coach. It was just if he could get it done at Michigan. I think there's a legitimate question if Mel Tucker's a good head coach because the Brady Hoke comparison is legitimate. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Are they going to fire him? No, because I mean they put all their eggs in his basket. So
I just can't believe how big of a step down they've taken this year.
That's the Kenneth Walker effect.
Man. I mean, they were 11 wins last year, and now they're like, man, they're struggling to get 3 or 4. It's just mind blowing. And I think the thing that kind of makes him a lightning rod more than like a D'Antonio might have had for his first few years is just like how he operates, man. This Instagram, the social media, the Lambos, which we talk about all the time, the Spartan dogs, the pit bulls. It's like, man, do you think he's going to like dial this back a little bit? Like, is that actually like, is that just who he is? It's just like, if I'm in this locker room, man, I'm already questioning it when he had 11 wins. Now I'm definitely like looking at this guy like he's an idiot. That's just me being honest. But
maybe not to cut you off, Ted, but I mean, think about Jim Harbaugh came in doing music videos and all that stuff, and he had to dial it back a little bit. So you
get what's not sobered up? What you get? Reality hits in the Big Ten, man. And like you said, Ohio State next week. Good God, I don't even want to look up the spread. I'm not even going to look it up, man. Because I know it's probably 3-4 scores probably.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an ugly one.
It's more than likely going to be ugly. But then again, Sparty has been known to come up and play big against Ohio State in the past. So if let's say they pull a major upset, boy, that's going to take a lot of heat off Coach Tucker. I don't see it happening.
For sure.
That's all they need, man. They just need one upset win. And I feel like this season will be kind of forgotten. But it's a long way from that upset win, man.
And the Michigan game. I mean, we all know that.
We know that. Yeah, absolutely.
They can go 4-8, but if they beat Michigan.
Well, where are we at now with the Detroit Lions? I mean, we're recording this on Sunday evening. Just got our chance to watch the Lions play a typical Lions game, giving up too many points, but never giving up. It was a fun kind of game to watch for part of it. But what are we looking at when Geno Smith 320 yards?
What was that?
I know.
Oh my God. I don't Aaron Glenn, I don't know who you blame. Aaron Glenn, Campbell, just a horrible scouting report. Geno Smith. I mean, the Seahawks are arguably the worst team in the league. Like literally, I think going into this week, that was the kind of the consensus. They had the inspiring win against Denver, at home, but you almost had to throw that game out. That was almost like a Michigan State game. Right. Just what the hell was that? We had all these injuries going into the game. Jared Goff, I tell you what, I've been wrong about him so far this year. He's played great this whole year.
Yes,
and yet the defense just let us down. They are just atrocious. I don't know. Hutchinson hasn't seemed to really been making a big difference maker. Rodriguez, good player, led the team in tackles today, but
he's real. He's the real deal.
A lot of flaws.
Yeah, they have a lot of flaws. And Ted, I think you've pointed it out. We got to remember how bad the defense was last year. And yes, they added Rodriguez and Hutchinson, but you're not just gonna turn it around just like that, unless you spend a bunch of money in free agency and sign a bunch of other players. But clearly that defense is bad. I made a point. I don't know if you ever do this, Ted, or Jared too, when I was watching, because I started thinking the same thing. Like, man, where's Hutchinson? What's going on here? Literally watch him. He was getting double teamed basically every play. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's not an excuse because TJ Watt and other guys get double teamed and still put up numbers. So he's got to figure it out. He's a rookie, but he's got to figure some stuff out because he's supposed to be the anchor of that defensive line. And other than that one game where he had 3 sacks, I don't know if he's making much noise. I was going to read the stat you talked about. I mean, the offense is legit. They've scored the most points in the league. I mean, the Detroit Lions have scored the most points in the league. The Lions have averaged 35 points per game and allowed 35.3 points per game this season. Detroit's 281 combined points plus points allowed are the most by any team in the first 4 games in NFL history. So their points allowed and points scored most in NFL history through 4 games.
Way to go, Lions.
I don't know. Is that a good thing?
Hashtag since 57. All right.
I mean, the offense is looking good, and they were down St. Brown and Swift today. All the Cephas got hurt. A bunch of other receivers and stuff were going down. Like you said, Jared, Goff has been more than what he needs to be to win games. This defense is just bad. Terrible. And I honestly think I'm going up and down because, I was like, let's give Campbell his time last year. His first year as head coach. It was like, let's give him his time. After Hard Knocks and some of the stuff they did this offseason, I was like, I'm in, man. This dude, he's going to have this team rolling. But now I'm just starting to wonder, is it scheme? Is it he's probably got these dudes fired up in the locker room, but is he coaching them up well?
I don't know.
Is Aaron Glenn just not a very good defensive coordinator? What's – because, yes, they don't have a ton of talent on defense, but they look bad. I mean – Geno Smith made him look like a JV defense or something, man.
It's a new problem every week. That's what's kind of frustrating. It seems like, defense played admirable last week against Minnesota. The coaching was the issue that week, and then this week is just the defense is just absolutely horrible. I don't know. And then week 1, it was just kind of same sort of thing. Defense has a problem. I mean, offense was somewhat solid in week 1, but I don't know what keeps you watching this team the rest of the year. You lose to the Seahawks. I mean, just totally. That's a must-win game. I mean, the Vikings game was pretty much a must-win game considering how it played out. We should have won that one, and then if we lose this week, whatever, we're still looking good, still even. But I feel like if you looked at this schedule, heading into this year, you would have said, we got to start at least 2-2, and we're lying to each other because that's definitely what we said to each other before the season started. So what's keeping you watching? I mean, Ted's talking about how he's, in the waning years of his life. I mean, what the hell? Get off the couch and stop watching this team, man. You wasted enough of your Sundays on this team.
Well, I may stop watching live. Let's put it that way. I'm going to tell you this, though. Yeah, this season is not looking good. I'm not going to jump off the Campbell or the coaching staff bandwagon. And we can rewind 4 or 5 weeks ago. This roster could not afford injuries. Yeah,
Right.
they had some injuries on offense that they've overcome, but there's also been some injuries on defense. Tracy Walker,
Yeah.
that's a big loss. I don't know why number 24 still in the starting lineup there as a defensive back. He can't
That's all they
cover
got.
anybody. I can't pronounce his name. That's why he's number 24. But,
Right.
but as I said before the season began, my prediction was 6 wins. Okay. I still think that's achievable and that's a step in the right direction. But this is no tremendous team, especially going down with injuries. And yeah, Jared Goff's been playing fine. Quarterback hasn't been the problem on this team. It's that pitiful, porous defense. And they've added some guys, like we said, Hutchinson, and what 44
Rodriguez.
was Rodriguez. He's good. He's a good player, but they've got too many other holes there.
A lot of holes, and like you said, Trey, I mean, they didn't have the depth. If it was their like opening day starting lineup, they're a solid team. But once one or two guys start going down, they don't have the depth right now to sustain that. And I think that's what we're seeing. It's just disappointing, I think, because maybe someone tweeted, I think it was our friend Miggy Incognito tweeted at me. It was the, Hard Knocks fooled us. And, we were all pretty pumped after Hard Knocks, and maybe unrightfully so, not rightfully so, so.
I don't know. It's like you still feel like they're so close, though. It's weird. But
because they are every week. That, like you said, Ted, when you open this, even against the Eagles, who look like a lot of people are picking them to win the Super Bowl, only lost by 3. They're right there. In this game, all they kept needing was one third down stop. And they just kept. It's just like
Smith, man, just balling out back in his West Virginia days. I think that's just also kind of just the way the NFL is. The margin of error is so thin that I feel like we have the same feeling last year. We're so close, and it's just maybe we're not.
Well,
I'm not some expert. I don't know what we need. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's players. Probably all of the above. But it's just depressing, really.
Yeah.
No way to put it.
Well, are both of you guys? Because I made my point. I'm still going to stick with Dan Campbell. I think he can right the ship, get a few more decent players. Hopefully, they give him another year. But where you guys stand right now, week 4 into the season? Just keep going.
Kind of the same. I mean, kind of the same as what I was kind of saying about Mel Tucker. Like I don't think you can Dan Campbell right now because of everything we said, how bad they were when he took it over. And then you're going to restart with a whole other coaching, staff. You can't do that. Lions have been doing that for the last 15 years. Give a coach 2 or 3 years, start over with another guy. You got to give Campbell 3-4 years to hopefully build a roster. When you have a legitimate roster, okay, let's see if this dude can coach. Once you have a good 2 or 3 free agencies and drafts, if this BS is still happening where he's trying to kick a 60-yard field goal at the end of the game and, doing all this other stuff, okay, that's when you say, yeah, this isn't happening.
God, I don't think you can. I think he's safe this year. Next year is the real judgment year. Maybe somehow, some way they'll have some magical season this year. I don't see it. I see him going into next year on the hot seat a bit, and we'll see. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of games to be played this year, but judging from what I've seen 4 weeks in, this is not going to be a great year. So
I think that's fair. I think that's fair to say next year might be okay, man, this is your 3rd year. We've got, you've got Jared Goff will be in a contract year. You've got dudes like Hutchinson. Well, he'll be a couple of years in. You got TJ Hawkinson, he'll be in his prime, basically. They've built the offensive line. They've got St. Brown. They drafted Jamison Williams. So hopefully he comes back healthy. So it'll be like, we've done everything. Yeah. Okuda has proven to be a good player. Hopefully he can stay healthy. So it's like, I think I agree with that, Jared. If, I think, 6-7 wins probably is more realistic. Like you said, Ted, for this year, I went up around 9 or 10. I was probably a little too.
I don't even remember what I said. It was dumb. I don't remember. I think it was 9. Like you said, pretty dumb. It's just, it was the Hard Knocks, man. It seems like forever ago.
I know
it was.
Well, let's hope they can turn it around. It's always a struggle watching the Lions, but hashtag since 57.
It really is, like you said, Jared, because it seems like they're always right there. Because it felt like if they could have got one of those 3rd down stops today against the Seahawks, the offense was doing fine. So it was like, if they can get the ball back, they're going to win this game. Nope.
They just never make those plays, man. They never have in my whole life. They've never made those plays. We saw it against like the Cowboys playoff game, even dating back to when we actually had a good team. It's like, wow, we should have won that game easily. Just a play here, play there. Next thing you know, it's back since 57.
Yeah. All right, fellas. I think we've done enough damage. This has been the 3 Point Podcast presented by Memorial Healthcare. Check out the Walk-In Sports Injury Clinic every Monday through mid-October. That's at the new Now Community Wellness Center. And also check out our friends at Skymint Cannabis, Michigan's leader in the industry, with many convenient locations throughout Michigan. Use that coupon code 3.20 at the Corona store for 20% off your first purchase. Some people are doing it, which is good. You know, we had to kind of nudge some of our friends, but that's all right. At the concert the other night, I was hanging out with some of Casey's buddies. They're all, they participate there at Skymint, so it's really good stuff.
I think it's one of those things. If the word gets out, you know, so your word of mouth type of thing.
20% off. 20% off. I mean, if you use the product,
when you go to those dispensaries, man, it's big purchases. I mean, it's not like, you know, $2 off of a $20 purchase. I mean, it's usually, you know, bigger quantities that you buy. So.
There you go. Also, make sure you follow us at 3 Point Pod. Spread the word to everybody about this podcast, and make sure you let our great local partners know you listen in and enjoy the program. They include AZEE Printing Solutions, Capital Sports Fieldhouse, Pro Real Estate and Auction, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Taphouse and Grille, and Success Group Mortgage and Servicing. I want to send special thanks to Durand football coach John Webb. Good luck to the Railroaders the rest of the way. And just a reminder, this episode of 3 Point Podcast was recorded at StreamYard.com. Our Z92.5 Castle Game of the Week this Friday. Homecoming at Owosso. Clio taking on the Owosso Trojans. Maybe a couple teams with not the best records, so it should be a real competitive contest. Until next week, everybody, so long. Peace and love. Be kind, and thanks for listening.